project is currently on track to award to the low bidder, which we don't know yet, August 28th. And so that would mean they would probably start actually appearing on site, mobilizing sometime, obviously in September. And we're still looking at 300 to 400,000 cubic yards, and it's still going on the beach in that general area of the breach, unless something has happened and that I don't know about with the county. But as far as I know, there's been no change in the plan. I'm looking at our engineer over there. As you know, Taylor's also Fines engineer. But there hasn't been any change in that, so it's going in the general area where the breaches occurred. Just to give you an update on our grant program, in our June meeting, we had the presentations from the applicants, the grant applicants. There was a total of 46 applications from the 12 different counties and municipalities in our district. And of course, there was only one from St. Johns County, and it was from the county because the city of St. Augustine volunteered to stand down, because the grant application from the county was to try to get as much funding as possible to help reimburse the county for the some $15 million they spent buying the Genovar property. I had kind of anticipated that it would be maybe $700,000 available. What actually happened is when the scores came out, and just to remind you the way these applications, they come in to find staff, and then in our June meeting we do the presentations, and each of the 12 commissioners scores each application, and then the scores are added up, and then they're ranked based on from high to low. And the good news is the St. Johns County's application for the Genovar property was number 2 out of 46, which means that it has, I would say, 99.9% chance of being funded when something like that scores that high. The surprise for me is I had kind of anticipated that there would be a max available of $700,000, and I notice on your agenda you'll be talking about your millage rate, and and Elise has shown where the property values in the county have obviously increased due to growth. But anyway, long story short, the way this funding is established for this grant program is basically the maximum that we can use for grants is 80% of the gross tax revenue out of a particular county. And that's been kind of running, around $700,000. Well, this year, apparently, with all the growth that's happened in the county and also inflation, what the county's going to get from this grant application is $1,055,500. So, matched with the $1.5 million that the port provided, that's a significant benefit to the county to help, because what they had to do, the county had a very short period of time to raise $15 million that wasn't in any particular budget. So they were going all over the county budget looking at contingency funds and stuff like that to pull that money together. So both this district's contribution as well as this, really helps the county kind of get back on an even keel. So that's what happened on the grants. The other thing that I thought you might find interesting, especially since we've got a lot of folks from law enforcement here and fire rescue, is out of these 46 grant applications from the 12 different counties and cities in our district, 11 of them were for law enforcement vessels or infrastructure to assist law enforcement and fire rescue. And just so that our friends in the back here are aware, we basically, our rules allow up to $100,000 of funding from each county for law enforcement or fire rescue vessels. And that even, I mean, we had a couple here from, most of these are from South Florida, where they were repowering a vessel, twin engine, twin 300s or something like that. So, so that's something that you guys might think about if you have a vessel that, that the hull's good, but the engines have 5,000 hours on them, and it needs to be repowered. That's eligible for a fine grant. Of course, it's a 50-50 match.
And every county got that.
Yeah, the maximum allocated for each county is $100,000. So if you had the city come in for some money and you had the county come in for, as long as it doesn't exceed $100,000, you're okay. And plus they have to score. But generally this stuff scores pretty well. So I just thought I'd pass that along. And also it includes like boat lifts. We had several where a particular city has, you'd like this, they want to upgrade their boat lift for their law enforcement vessel, their fire rescue vessel. Well, we had several of those grants come in here as well. So I just thought I'd pass that along. And the other thing too is we're bumping or I should say we're increasing the total available per county for derelict boat removal to $75,000 per county. Of course, here again, there's a match there. But right now the legislature has allocated funding for derelict boats, and I think the city is primarily chasing that. But also, we're still, fines still available, and what it is there's a lot of pressure in South Florida. The derelict boat program or problem is growing in South Florida. So those commissioners, my fellow commissioners from down there, they wanted to increase the funding. So
that derelict boat fund go to the county? It doesn't go.
The city of St. Augustine has applied in the past for funding for fine for derelict boats. So, and I think that we're starting to get some stuff from the county. But historically, the city's been the lead agency on that. So, but anyway, that's my report. Got any questions? No? Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Carl.
Anybody else on the government side or law enforcement or? No? Okay. Secretary Treasurer's report.
The city police law enforcement overtime of the 8,000 committed, we've spent 5623. The St. Johns County Sheriff's Department overtime of the 25,000, we've spent 13,888. Now, the fire is included in the city costs, which still isn't high at all. The derelict boats of the 25,000, we've only spent 4,339 so far. Really, that's about it. The Florida State Board of Administration, we have 24,175 in the account. In the operating account, we have 671,468, and in the money market account, we have 1,116,413 in the money market account. And for the taxes budgeted for this fiscal year was 716,620. We received 710,779, and we're expected still to receive 5,841.
Okay. At least those the dune walkover, boat lift repair, regatta of lights.
That's included in your
unspecified.
specified.
Okay, I
Yeah,
got
that total is the same. That's the 301,000.
Okay. And approval of minutes. Did everybody have a chance to look at the minutes? Do they have any thing to edit? No?
Looks good.
Okay. You want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving right along. Engineering report.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we have no active internal projects, but I do have one update from a local regional perspective that'd be of interest to the crew. So the beach nourishment project that was scheduled to start actually mid-month this month from essentially Embassy Suites south about 3 miles has been delayed. Speaking with Jason Harrow and the Corps of Engineers, they do believe that they'll get started 15 October now, which, pending hurricane season, it is what it is. But what it does is it enhances the ability of Embassy Suites, which was damaged last year, to start construction now and attempt to be done before 15 October, so that can get back on the higher end of tax rolls and the rest of the benefits it brings to city of St. Augustine Beach. So so that ramp at Pope Road, where a number of the citizens park on a daily basis, access the beach, that will be closed to construction. It would have been closed to construction for the federal project this past couple of weeks. However, now the Embassy Suites reconstruction of the seawall will actually close it as well. I do know law enforcement's already been there. We're out there every day, and they're making sure that folks do the best they can to pay attention to the rules. But you should see that start to get, you should see work at Embassy Suites, and then the Beach Nourishment Project 15 October. That's all I have.
Thank you. Old business, funding request for the dune walkovers. Russell Adams?
Russell Adams, City of St. Augustine Beach, Public Works Department. Just kind of a quick overview. I know last year you guys had appointed, I believe it was matching funds of $335,000 for the dune walkover projects. We started those roughly in December of last year. Kind of a brief overview on impacts to the dunes and the effects that they have without walkovers. It's basically some of the erosion and degradation of the dunes. People get up on them, jump on them, push them down. As everyone knows, there's been quite a bit of increase in tourism in the area, and this is to help kind of alleviate some of those impacts to the dunes. So the new boardwalks that were put in fiscal year 2023, we had 3 put in or replaced by St. Johns County, 2nd Street, 7th Street, and 9th Street. And then the ones that were funded between the port and the city were B Street, 3rd Street, 4th Street, 5th Street, and 8th Street. So, and again, here's a breakdown of the cost of this year's walkovers. So a total cost of $428,550, and again, half of that was given by the Port and Water for the projects. And then the proposed boardwalks for this year would be 10th Street, 6th Street, C Street, and E Street. So, and there's the cost breakdown for each of those, the estimated cost breakdown. I basically took a ruler on the St. Johns County IMAP and went out and added 10% to the cost that we incurred this year. So it was $100 a square foot last year. It was $110 is what I proposed for next year's budget for each of those locations. Total $380,050. So initially we had planned to put more dune walkovers north of 10th Street, but because of the impacts from the storms last year, we had kind of pulled back on that. We initially had wanted to put a actual kind of a ramped bridge for law enforcement to get over on 16th Street. And after the storms and the situation that happened, we just didn't feel safe putting something north of 10th Street with all the erosion that occurred. So any of the boardwalks that we were proposing are south of 10th Street at this point. This kind of gives an overview of where the walkovers are. The green ones are the construction that we just went over that happened in 2023. The yellow is the proposed walkovers. The orange ones are the existing walkovers. Those were put in by the county. And then A Street has the Moby mats is what they call them. They're the ones that, it's not a walkover, but it's just yeah. So that's kind of an overview of the area. And then a request to the board, this was to allocate $190,025 for fiscal year 2024 to permit and construct the 4 proposed walkover locations.
And you're asking the port for that amount?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And this construction, is this going to be composite, or is it?
Yep, so let me show you, let me see if I can get a picture. The top boards, great picture. Not the best, but the top boards and the running boards are the composite material. We went with the same contractor that the county used to kind of keep a uniform look. But yes, the top boards and the top.
And the deck itself?
Yes, sir, the decking is the composite.
And then when it gets to the beach and drops down, is it going to be the stairs?
It depends on the elevation. Some of the permits, if you keep the existing path, you only are required to have a field permit. If you want to do any kind of ramped switchback or anything like that, it goes outside of the permit of the dune line, then you require a permit that has to be sent to Tallahassee on that.
I remember seeing them after the storms.
Yes, sir.
They were wood steps, they're gone.
Yes.
And I didn't know if it was a possibility, if you looked into when it gets to before it starts to the elevation drop, is it have maybe aluminum stairs that are on some sort of a hinging system?
We can look into that.
And then when you know a storm's coming, you just go take all the stairs up.
Yep, that's a good idea. I can see what the contractor says and if there's any issues with permitting on the beach. I know typically a lot of these are made for breakaway purposes. You know, they don't want them sitting there permanently.
There's a fabricator in Palaca that builds a lot of ramps and
Okay.
gangways and stuff, and they might be someone to talk to about it.
Yeah.
They do a lot of fabrication for
Definitely.
me.
I'll definitely look into that. Breakaway stairs. And we tried to ramp where possible, so based on the elevation of the dunes, we put in, I believe it's 3rd Street and 5th Street have ramped access, so complete, no stairs at all on those dunes. 10th Street, we can't do it. Max and I looked at it, we had an engineer come in and do a design. It's just, the elevation's too high, and the amount of switchbacks we'd have to have, it was just prohibitive
Yeah.
for design. And I don't foresee any of these other ones right now being able to be ramped. Some of the dunes are a lot higher further south.
And so is the city putting in funds as well?
Yes, sir.
So
It'll
this
be
would-
matching funds.
This is our cut that you would like to do. Commissioners, Tom, or you guys any thoughts on this, or?
So we'd be half of 380,000.
Yes, ma'am.
No, I thought you said you were looking for 380 from
Oh, the total cost of the dunes,
half that.
yes, sir. So the half, I apologize,
Okay, yeah. Well, this certainly lands in our purview for the Port and Waterway.
I just want to let you know that we have spent to date 214,000 plus on the dune walkovers
this year.
in 2023.
So, and then this is for another 190?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah, just for clarification, would this be foregoing any unspent balance of prior funds granted by the district, or is this on top of?
This would be foregoing. So I think we allocated, initially there was a $335,000 agreement or terms between us and the board, $670,000 total for the dune walkover projects. There's an outstanding balance, I believe it's around $120,000, so this would be an additional $70,000.
And you would start this project if you had the funding when?
October 1st, if possible, pending, I'd like to get them in before the beach renourishment, honestly, so then we have at least the stairs or whatever's going to be dug in the sand. If they go in after the beach renourishment, then there's that potential for washout, and we're going to have the gap in between. That would be the intent, pending storms.
Has the 214,275 been paid?
Yes.
I mean, it's used up
Yes, sir.
completely.
Yes, sir. We had to stop in May, turtle season, stops construction for any walkovers.
Commissioner, anything?
At least where would this fund come from?
Well, right now, we don't have a $1.5 million for reserve, so it's just going to come out of your operating account.
I'm sorry, say that again.
It's just going to come out of it's going to come out of the money market, but it's basically
This fiscal year.
for this the current fiscal year, they've already spent 214. So he's talking about 2024. He's talking about starting October 1st, which is the new fiscal year. So that's where that so that's an extra 70,000 on top of what we agreed on, basically.
Because this would be in our next year's budget.
Correct.
Okay. Well, so we can discuss it. I move approval of the amount of $190,025 for fiscal year 2014 to permit and construct the 4 proposed walkovers located at 10th Street, 6th Street, C and E Streets.
Can I get a second?
I second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Thank y'all very much, I appreciate
All right,
it.
thank
Yep,
you.
And we'll look into those breakaway stairs.
Yeah, and if you need the contact
Yeah,
number
I
for
can
the
reach
place in
out,
Palaca, yeah, I'll be happy to help you. Okay. New business, funding request for vessel sustainment.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. We'll do it right this time and in the order it's supposed to be
That
done.
was my fault.
No. Pat Harvey with the City of St. Augustine Marine Unit. I know you all have the funding request in front of you. There is a typo that I want to point out on page 2. The first number of 25,555.74 should be the same as the second of 21,555.74. Those numbers should match. That was a typo on my part, just so all of us are aware. We're in the process of a sustainment on the one vessel that we have. We've put aside $30,000 in the city's budget. We allocated this year for the 2024 budget that's in now that they're working on for a new wing, a rib, and also to refinish the vessel itself. Sandblast it, get it all back to original. This funding request would be to repower it. We have 1,456 hours on it as of this morning, and we've had it for 5 years. So this is the whole purpose of this funding request.
And what was the amount that you were?
The quote that we have using the government contract, which is a 39% discount, is $21,469.05 for the motor itself delivered, and $86.69 for the wire harness to adapt it to the rigging that we already have in the vessel. We'd be keeping the same Suzuki so that we wouldn't have to change any of the rigging that's already there, which is a fairly substantial savings without having to rebuild it that way.
Okay. Any comments from the commissioners on this?
Not sure. I'm sorry, I'm a little hard of hearing. I couldn't hear some of what you said, but what's vessel sustainment?
The vessel was bought 5 years ago with 2 grants, as well as buy-in from the city. So 3 different entities paid for it. I'm sustaining the vessel, not trying to replace it. So I'm basically rebuilding every 5 years to keep it.
So this request is just strictly for a new engine.
That's all. That's what this request is for. I've put in the other 30,000 with the city. I'm waiting for approval on that now for our 2024 budget to do the other projects.
They would say the figure again.
21,555.74.
Is that 74 cents?
Yes, sir. I'll throw the 74 cents in. That's,
And what engine, a Suzuki what, just by
It's a Suzuki
curiosity?
350 with the dual prop. Right now, we have the 300 single prop, which we have a cavitation issue. For those of you who boat, you know what that issue is. The dual prop should do away with they're counter-rotated. Per Suzuki, it was 18 pounds lighter, insignificant, but 23% more efficient than the motor we have now, and I have a very small fuel tank.
Have you had good luck with the Suzukis?
We've had no issues. I say that, and won't run when I go back to work tomorrow. But
I've had clients
right.
that some love them, some hate them. I just was curious what that.
First one I've ever, I obviously don't own it, first one I've used as much as I do, we use it every day. I've had no major issues with it. Usual maintenance and things that have to be done 100 and 300 hours, but we've had very good luck with that one, which is why, one of the reasons I'm sticking with that one is also the rigging issue. The rigging is expensive to redo all the rest of the vessel if we go with a different manufacturer.
These, is this for this year's?
No, for 2024, you're talking about, right?
Well, I'm asking for it now, so I guess it'll come out of this year's,
then
because
it would be
it would
this
be,
year.
it's a 3 or 4 month process to get them to be delivered.
So you're asking for the 21,000 now?
Yes, ma'am.
The engine.
Right, so we can send the city can send the PO for
Well, I think this falls in our purview, so I'll make a motion that we approve the 21,555.74. Anybody? Second it? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Welcome. Okay, millage rate. So we're here to decide whether we want to do the rollback rate or last year's rate.
And remember, if you go high now, you can
Always
always
roll
go
back.
low, but if you go low, you can't go anywhere else but
Right.
keep it low.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt last year's rate, .0598.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Public comments. Y'all are asking for money. This is a good time to do it. Okay, no public comments? Okay, Tom, you have anything to?
Well, I sort of do, concerning derelict vessels. I was in West Palm Beach this past weekend and stayed with my daughter to go to an event that Linda and I both attended, the Turning Point conference in West Palm Beach. And I stayed in Coral Springs with my daughter, who had just been to Key West. They showed me some of the pictures, and there was a picture of my son-in-law and my granddaughter on a Sea-Doo or something
Jet
like
ski,
that, and riding right by a boat that was half sunk. I said, "Is that boat you were riding by half sunk?" They said yes. A couple of years ago, I was down there, and I asked to rent one myself, but they would not let me take it from the shore. They had to escort us out past all the derelict vessels. I mean, that's a mess down there. I think we've got it pretty good here. So, anyway, that's Monroe County. Do they request money, a lot of money for derelict vessels? Yeah, I'm curious, Carl.
Well, it's coming our way. I mean, I've never seen so many boats in the water now.
Monroe County is not part of the fine tax
They're not?
district. No, sir.
Wow, how'd that happen?
Oh, that's a long story.
Okay.
But,
I thought for sure they're on the intercoastal
not.
and they're on.
all I can say is we're very fortunate that we have the city has been administering your derelict boat program for years, and they're very good at finding the money. They certainly have tagged us a lot, which is good. And it's only recently that the legislature has actually allocated funding for derelict boats. We used to be kind of the only game in town, but it is a serious problem, and it's still a problem here. But it's the more population you have, the greater the problem, and you know, it's
Do they
just
have a
something.
port commission? A port board like us?
I'm not that familiar. I think it's basically Monroe County deals with Monroe County issues. They have some unique, and the FWC guys can probably address better than I can Monroe County, because that's one of your favorite counties, isn't it? So,
Hey,
not
Carl,
that I'm
when,
aware.
when a derelict boat, oh, I'm sorry, Tom. Go ahead. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I'm down. You answered my question.
When a derelict boat is removed, went through all the permitting and stuff, and they were able to identify who the owner was, did they put a tax lien on them, or did they?
Yeah, I'll defer to FWC, but yeah, the legislature did.
We basically After the vote is worked, you can't register anything if you don't pay back.
If you don't pay the cost, okay.
Now there is a fairly new program that I had a little experience with here, where you can abandon, or not abandon, but turn over your boat to the state, and there's a program where FWC will fund the removal of that boat. In other words, we had one in Salt Run where the individual, he's on some sort of disability, what have you. And fortunately, this is, and I'll let you guys talk about it, but it's a new program. Now, you can debate whether politically it's the right thing to do, but bottom line is, there is a new program where somebody can come and say, hey, I don't know what to do with this boat. I'm going to give it to the state of Florida, and the state of Florida get rid of it. I'll let you
That
talk about
program
it.
is called VTIP, Vessel Turn-In Program. And
Oh.
Lieutenant Miller, FWC. It's called VTIP, so essentially a vessel owner can say they have no means to take care of the vessel and write it over to the state and we'll get rid of it. It's kind of like an amnesty program for, just started it out. I can't think
And
of
that's so you don't have to go through the long process. of
Correct,
getting-
and then you can avoid that criminal charge. So.
All right.
But the benefit is, if it hadn't existed, this particular boat in Salt Run could have broken loose and sunk, and then.
Right, it expedites the process for safety.
Yeah.
And not a lot, the main thing is the damage it would have done if it had broken loose. So it's gone.
Okay, I think that's it. Our next meeting, I'm sorry. Did you
No,
have any?
I'm good.
Nothing? I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you, that's okay.
All right, our next meeting, Elise, is,
It's in August.
okay,
It's going to be August 15th.
August 15th.
Now, pay attention to those trim timetable I gave you, because September's going to be different.
Okay, but we're still on for the 15th.
Right.
Okay,
We're still on the 15th for August, which is the 3rd.
okay.
Wow.
Okay, September is going to be a different date,
Yes.
so what would September be?
September is going to be it's going to be on a Thursday.
Oh,
And it's going to be at 3 PM because we're also doing our first public hearing on the same day. So we might as well kill two birds with one stone, rather than come back the following week.
got it.
And what was the date, did you say?
September 14th.
September 14th, Thursday, okay.
And that location is still here.
Yeah, and it'll start at 3, but then you have
We
to
have
be
to
back
stay.
here at 5:05 for the
Okay.
public hearing.
Okay, that being said, this meeting of the Port and Waterway is adjourned.